Welcome. I'm Gayathri and I'm passionate about transformative coaching in the realm of life and leadership. My journey towards coaching started with an educational background in psychology and over 20 years of corporate leadership. Today, my commitment to help unlock limitless possibilities within each individual has culminated in the creation of my organization, Realize to Win. As a certified master coach, my philosophy centers around the power of the human mind and its boundless capacity for growth and achievement. My approach is rooted in the belief that with the right mindset, training, and guidance, there's truly no limits to what you can accomplish. My work is just not about reaching goals. It is truly about redefining the very boundaries of potential. Join me every week on my podcast, Catalyze Your Self, where we can dive into mindsets, experiences, and practical steps that will ignite your transformation towards limitless possibilities. I look forward to connecting with each and every one of you. Welcome, everyone, to Catalyze Your Self, the podcast where we dive deep into the science and practical strategies of personal growth and how you can transform your mindset to become the best version of yourself. I'm your host, Gayathri, and in today's episode, we will dive deep into one of the most significant barriers to personal and professional development: limiting beliefs. Many of us have seen this in ourselves somewhere along the way, or maybe in someone else. Limiting beliefs show up as a conviction or a state of mind that one can hold about themselves, others, or even the world. This constrains the growth, actions, and potential. These beliefs often manifest as negative thoughts, assumptions that can hold a person back from pursuing their goals or trying new things or even believing in their own capabilities. Some examples could include thoughts like, I am not good enough, I can't succeed at this, I don't deserve happiness, or it's too late for me to start. Some of us somewhere along the way have heard, I'm too old for this. And this type of thinking can hold someone back if it is not dismantled. Now, we all have stories we tell ourselves, beliefs that shape our understanding of who we are and what we're capable of. And when these beliefs become walls, limiting our potential or possibilities, it's time to tear them down. My earliest memory of a limiting belief came from childhood, and I held on to it for many years after. This is where I got on stage and I froze. My mother at the time had decided I was going to participate in an oration competition. She was an English major and fancied me following her footsteps. She had me memorize Mark Antony's speech from that Shakespeare play, Julius Caesar. You guys may have heard of this line that goes, "Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears." Clearly, I did not go to theater school. In any case, long story short, I memorized it and would orate it perfectly to my mother. The day I got on stage, at 11 years old though, I froze. I think I may have said friends in a squeaky voice, and then I just blacked out. My memory after was overhearing my mother sharing with her friends how speaking to an audience, a crowd, was not my path, that I was bad at it, that it was embarrassing. This is how a limiting belief entrenches in someone's mind. It could be a casual opinion of the moment, it could be somebody else's feeling of the moment, but it could be something you end up believing as your truth. And I believed this, and I stayed away from any experience that placed me in a spotlight where I had to speak to an audience because I did not want to embarrass myself or any of those who cared about me. If you're watching me today, you can tell I have absolutely overcome this limiting belief. Graduating with a degree in psychology with honors required me to present to an audience. Graduating my master's degree required me to present to an audience. A couple of decades in corporate leadership throughout many roles required me to present to an audience. I have been on stage many times over throughout the years. And I know I overcame my limiting belief that I carried with me for a long time because my success as an adult asked of me too. I overcame it because I decided to overcome it. This is the key with any limiting belief. It has the power only as long as you give it power. You can dismantle any limiting belief holding you back with a simple decision to overcome it and then following up with disciplined actions to overcome it. Today, my passion is speaking to an audience about how each of us can transform our lives and become our best selves once we decide to. That 11-year-old who froze on stage has come a very long way. By the time Carol Dweck published her first book on mindset in 2006, where she brilliantly highlighted the power of the growth mindset, I had already started the journey towards overcoming this particular limiting belief. And once I read her work, it resonated so deeply. It said everything that I was already learning about myself, that we can change limiting narratives about ourselves, that we have the power to shape our potential from the moment we decide to. And if you know me, you know that I'm fascinated with how our human brain can be trained to maximize our ability to achieve success. Neuroscience has shown us that our thoughts and beliefs can literally rewire our brains. If you're a regular listener of mine, you've heard me mention this fascinating phenomenon before, known as neuroplasticity. Dr. Norman Dodge, in his groundbreaking book, actually, The Brain That Changes Itself, that's what it's called, The Brain That Changes Itself, discusses how our repeated thoughts and actions can shape our brain structure and function. This means the more we dwell on our limiting beliefs, the stronger they become. And if this is true, you know what else is true? The same principle applies to positive, empowering beliefs. We should dwell on positive, empowering beliefs, and that will restructure our brain's function to supporting that. Now let's spend a little bit of time understanding how these limiting beliefs even gain so much power to prevent us from achieving our best interests. Limiting beliefs can gain power through repetition and reinforcement. The more a person thinks or vocalizes these beliefs, the more ingrained they become in our psyche. The repetitive cycle solidifies these beliefs, making them feel like absolute truths rather than mere perceptions. And then there are people who tend to seek out information that, in a way, confirm pre-existing beliefs. It's called confirmation bias. And that really means that if somebody believes they're not good at something, they will more likely than not notice evidence that supports this belief and tend to overlook evidence that are contrary to that belief. This selective attention reinforces their limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs often serve as a protective mechanism to avoid the discomfort of the unknown or the fear of stepping out of one's comfort zone and potential negative consequences that can give these limiting beliefs power. Adhering to them feels safer than facing the potential risks associated with the change. Societal and cultural conditioning. This hits close to home for me. The example that I spoke to you earlier from my childhood, it's relevant here. From a young age, individuals are shaped by the beliefs and values of their surroundings, including family, education systems, and media. Limiting beliefs can be passed down and then reinforced by societal norms and even cultural messages. I took opinions shared by my mother and her friends as my truth for so many years, until the day came where I started working on actively dismantling it. Now, another one that applies to the example I shared, strong emotional experiences, particularly negative ones, can give rise to and reinforce limiting beliefs. For instance, A single failure or rejection might lead to a generalized belief in one's own inadequacy. These emotions can create a vivid memory associated with that particular belief, making it very powerful. In my case, I failed and created an embarrassment for myself and my mother in my abilities. It took work to unravel that, which takes me to the next one. Simple lack of counterexamples. Without exposure to counterexamples or positive role models, limiting beliefs can go unchallenged, essentially. Seeing someone else overcome a similar barrier or limitation can be very inspirational for those who are trying to move out of that belief, or even to recognize that that particular belief is limiting. But in that absence, limiting beliefs can literally remain uncontested or unchallenged and grow powerful. Finally, human cognition is so prone to distortions. We are prone to overgeneralization. We are prone to all or nothing thinking. There's so many distortions that exaggerate the validity or significance of limiting beliefs, making them seem more logical in some cases, inevitable in some cases. So it's so critical that we recognize what gives limiting beliefs power. Now that we know what gives these limiting beliefs power, how do we go about recognizing it in ourselves? Recognizing it is, of course, the first critical step towards personal transformation. These beliefs often operate below the surface in our subconscious awareness, subtly influencing our thoughts, feelings, and actions. What this would mean is recognizing them will not happen by a happy accident. It happens with intention. And there are some ways you can go about it. First, you reflect so you can identify areas in your life where you feel stuck or dissatisfied. It could be your career, it could be a relationship, it could be personal growth, it could be health. Limiting beliefs often lie at the root of our frustrations or dissatisfaction, subtly influencing our choices and outcomes in these areas. Pay close attention to your self-talk, especially when facing challenges or setbacks. Limiting beliefs often manifest as negative critical thoughts about our abilities, worth, potential. Phrases like, I can't, I'm not good enough, or it's too risky are indicators of underlying limiting beliefs. Notice strong emotional reactions to certain situations. It can absolutely be clues to underlying limiting beliefs. If you constantly feel anxious, fearful in specific scenarios, consider what beliefs might be driving these emotions. For instance, anxiety from public speaking might stem from a belief that I could be embarrassing, or I'm not interesting, or people don't take me seriously. Could be anything. Now, analyze patterns of procrastination and avoidance of very specific activities, and this can absolutely indicate a limiting belief. If there's something that you consistently put off or avoid, take a moment and ask yourself, what belief might be causing this behavior? Perhaps a fear of failure, or starting a new project, a belief that I'm not a creative person. It could be anything. Ask yourself. The excuses you make can reveal your limiting beliefs. When you say you cannot do something, what reason do you give? These justifications often come from a deeper belief about what you think is possible for you or about your own abilities. Recognizing your limiting beliefs is a process that requires honesty, self-awareness, and sometimes simply courage to confront uncomfortable truths and how you see yourself and how you see the world. Once you know what they are, now you can start to challenge them and dismantle them to replace with more empowering ones. opening you up to more possibilities and growth and achievement. Now that we know how limiting beliefs get their power and how to recognize them in ourselves, the next step is to dismantle them and replace them with empowering beliefs. This journey is a transformative process that requires intentional effort. Let me share some ways with you. Once a limiting belief is identified, challenge its validity. Ask yourself critical questions. Is this really true? Do you have evidence that supports it? Do you have evidence that contradicts it? Often, you will find your limiting beliefs are based on flawed or incomplete evidence. And also, in some cases, it could be opinions or emotions of other people. Next, you reframe the narrative. And this involves changing your perspective on the belief. In my example, once I recognized that public speaking was an integral pathway for my success, and I reframed it as something I have not yet worked on accomplishing, my former belief I'm not good at public speaking was reframed to, I haven't developed my public speaking skills yet. This shifts the belief from a fixed state to a growth opportunity. And my belief changed into, with work and practice, I will become good at it. A really good way to eradicate limiting beliefs is educating yourself. Sometimes our limiting beliefs hang on just because of our lack of knowledge. So if we can go through books or courses or find resources that can help you dismantle these beliefs and replace them with informed, empowered beliefs, take it. In my case, my research showed there was a group called Toastmasters, and their main purpose is to give those who wanted to get better at public speaking an avenue, a stage to practice in real time. I embraced it. I embraced it so very much that I was nominated to be president. I got voted into 2 consecutive terms in the chapter that I was involved in back in the day. That was a max allowed for a single incumbent. It was very proud years of my life. It started with a very limiting belief, and I felt that I overcame it so strongly. It's possible. Another way, find inspirational examples, find role models or mentors who have achieved what you aspire to do. Learning about others who have overcome similar or in any kind of challenges can inspire you to break free from your own. You know, this is something I've always been passionate about as I speak with you. Train your brain. Regularly visualize yourself successfully overcoming the limiting beliefs, achieving your goals. This practice can help rewire your brain to accept these new empowering beliefs as possible. Create positive affirmations that directly counteract your limiting beliefs. Affirmation should be in the present tense, positive, and very specific. Repeat them every day, and this will embed the new beliefs in your subconscious. Practice mindfulness, and this will help you become more aware of your thoughts and your beliefs, including if there are any limiting ones. Take action. Such an excellent way to dismantle the beliefs. Once you have replaced your limiting belief with empowering ones, the work is not done, not yet. Now you have to make sure you act based on this new liberating and powerful belief. Once you start acting with this new belief system, you're now reinforcing it in your newly trained brain. And this learning will continue throughout your lifetime, of course, if you adopt a mindset of lifelong learning and growth. Absolutely. Evolving our beliefs is an ongoing process, and there will always be room to expand our understanding of our capabilities. Finally, practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself during this process. Changing deep-seated beliefs take time. Practice self-compassion and recognize that progress, not perfection, is the goal, and you'll get there. Now that we know what a limiting belief is, where it gets its power from, how do we recognize it, how do we dismantle it, how do we replace it, I want to leave you with this thought. Your beliefs evolve with you, to help you be the best you can be. You can decide to utilize proven methods to reshape your thinking patterns and, by extension, your lives. Start small. Identify one limiting belief, challenge it, reframe it, take action, any action, prove it wrong. And with that, my friends, we come to the end of another empowering episode of Catalyze Yourself, where today we've tackled dismantling your limiting beliefs. I hope you're leaving this session recognizing that any limiting beliefs you find do not define you. You can absolutely tackle it in your journey, and it'll be ongoing. You will achieve your breakthrough, and you will give yourself grace on your path to your best self. As always, I close out with a reminder to connect with me and send me a message via LinkedIn or Instagram if you wish to take this conversation beyond the podcast for one-on-one personalized support. Whether you're seeking to enhance your leadership qualities or navigate personal challenges or simply aiming to live a more fulfilled life, coaching could be the catalyst for that transformation you're seeking. Thank you for tuning in to Catalyze Yourself. I'm your host, Gayathri, and it has been an absolute pleasure. Please do consider subscribing so you do not miss future episodes, and please do consider sharing so others can benefit from this message also. Until next time, keep catalyzing, stay empowered, and transform your life one step at a time.